and I'm disappointed in President Putin because I thought we would have had a deal 2 months ago, but it doesn't seem to get there. So based on that, we're going to be doing secondary tariffs if we don't have a deal in 50 days. It's very simple. And they'll be at 100%. This is billions of dollars worth of military equipment is going to be purchased from the United States, going to NATO, et cetera. And that's going to be quickly distributed to the battlefield. Ukraine will take it up.
There you go. President Trump drawing a line for Vladimir Putin. Cut a deal to end the war in Ukraine or face new tariffs. And it's going to get worse. The U.S. also sending more weapons to Ukrainian forces, with other countries footing the bill, our NATO allies. Let's bring in the United States ambassador to NATO, Matt Whitaker. Matt, how's this being received in the region? How does NATO feel about purchasing the weapons that the U.S. in the past had given to different countries?
Well, it's good to be with you, Brian, and obviously it's being received very well among our NATO allies who have, wanted and have been supporting Ukraine since the war broke out. The biggest challenge, as we were at the NATO summit and getting the agreement to the 5%, which was historic, monumental, and ultimately I think will shift the burden off the American taxpayer to pay for European defense. It's very clear that the European defense industrial base can't handle right now. They're going to have to scale it up. What's in demand across, the militaries on the continent. And so the United States, we have the best military industrial base in the world, and we can manufacture a lot of things. And the key is that Europe and our NATO allies are going to pay for these systems, these weapons, and then deliver them to Ukraine. It's through the NATO alliance, which was built for things like this. It's the United States obviously has a leadership role, but Europe they're rich countries and they can afford to pay for this. Perhaps the most encouraging is the new Chancellor of Germany. He said, "I'm buying the Patriots from America, and I'm going to give them right to Ukraine." He sees the necessity. Where it was a few years ago, Merkel was getting Nord Stream 1, Nord Stream 2, and seemed to not understand the potential of the Russian threat. So I think they're beginning to get it. So in the big picture, everything that Russia's doing with the hundreds of drones, how much ground have they actually picked up? Well, in the last 18 months, Russia has claimed about 1% more of Ukraine. It's been a meat grinder. Hundreds of thousands of troops have died on the battlefield in the last 18 months for 1% of Ukrainian territory. Obviously, the war needs to end. President Trump's been very clear about this. He's brought peace in so many other places, and I think ultimately this dispute and this war will come to an end. But at the same time, I think President Trump has put his thumb on the scale. He said that we are going to supply weapons to Ukraine, built in America, paid for by Europe, to make sure that Ukraine can defend themselves and ultimately have enough strength to bring this war to a ceasefire and ultimately a peace. So, Matt, 50 days, if there's no peace, we're going to put sanctions, massive sanctions, 500% sanctions on countries like India, Brazil, and China, who continue to buy oil in violation of the sanctions that were put there 2 years ago. That is going to be titanic. And that's the hope is those countries will say to Vladimir Putin, you're really going to hurt our economy if this continues. Yeah, I think these secondary sanctions are really a game changer. Ultimately, President Trump wants this war to end, but at the same time, he sees that India and China, especially buying Russian oil through the shadow fleet, is what's enabling the war to continue. And, this is the sort of the big one. And I know that there's also a bill pending in Congress that is most likely to pass, and that is going to also give more tools to President Trump. At the end of the day, President Trump holds all the cards worldwide and globally as it relates to these disputes. He's playing a card right now, giving Vladimir Putin 50 days to come to the table and get a ceasefire. And I think, it's a big step. And at the same time, this war needs to end. The killing needs to stop. And the slaughter that we're seeing on a daily basis on the battlefield and in some of the major cities in Ukraine just needs to end. And with sometimes, if you look through history, the willingness to fight and to prove that you will
often ends conflicts. And I think that's what President Trump's trying to do. The KGB agent misjudged the President of the United States. Ambassador Matt Whitaker, thanks so much.
All right. Peace through strength. See you soon. Thanks.
I hear you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.